Hello my friends and welcome back to another video where today we are discussing the character of Sauron, who is playing Sauron and how he should be portrayed in the upcoming Amazon The Lord of the Rings TV series coming out September 2nd, 2022. Well, as you can probably tell from the beginning, the discussion around Sauron has multiple layers and we will be breaking that down today, whilst also incorporating a lot of the recent leaks around the villains and Sauron in today's video. So let's start off with that. What do we know about the character of Sauron so far? Well, according to recent leaks, he is in season 1 and his character for a while was at this human village set and he was said to be menacing, hooded and robed, but crucially we are not sure who he is, and that is the main discussion point to try and find out. Also, before we continue, this video isn't spoilers or further leaks or anything, as I personally have no clue as to who Sauron is or his identity in the show or the actor playing him. So everything here on out is just speculation on my part, but we do know, as mentioned earlier, he is in season 1, but we don't know which character. But I have still shortlisted a few characters of who it could be from our recent leaks, and the first character is Adar. So we originally leaked a character called Adar who was apparently being played by Joseph Maul. Interestingly, it was also released by The Observer that they heard Orin, which is a codename, would be the main villain of season 1. Thanks to the leaked character sheets, we can tell that Adar is Orin, which is then therefore Joseph Maul when putting all three together, which means this Adar character is technically the main villain for season 1. But is he Sauron? And that is the main question. Well, according to that leaked production sheet, his character description is, quote, elf, tortured, corrupted, turned into warlord. Does that sound like a Sauron-esque character? I don't really think so, but if we had to build the case that Adar could be Sauron, then the quote elf part could just be Sauron in his Anatar form. However, what we have also learnt about this character is that the orcs see him as a father figure and that he is a leader of these orcs. So maybe we are seeing Sauron in his elven / fair form being the leader of these orcs attacking human villages maybe? Well, I think it all boils down to this: tortured, corrupted and turned into warlord. I don't see any second age version or form of Sauron where he has been tortured at any point, so I think that mostly removes the possibility of Adar as Sauron. But he still could be, and there are a load more things that of course we have missed out and we don't have all the context around Adar, which can maybe make him Sauron, and that is of course entirely possible. We will just have to wait and see. There aren't many other leaked characters who could be Sauron, as there aren't really any of the characters leaked at all, except from one possibly, and that is the character codenamed Arik, being played by Charlie Vickers. Before we continue, I did also see a Reddit post about this possibility on r/Lord of the Rings on Prime, so make sure to check that out as well, but I have some of my own separate thoughts about it as well, which is around why has Arik gone with Galadriel to Numenor? What has been so important that Galadriel would have to take this man from Middle-earth who could easily be a liability all the way with her on a diplomatic mission to Numenor? What we do know about this Arik character is that he is a human village leader, which is where my probably crazy speculation comes aboard. Is it a coincidence that we have heard of a specific human village being raided by Adar and this hooded robed figure, and then we have this human village leader joining Galadriel on her voyage to Middle-earth later on? Maybe the hooded figure leading the attacks on the village is Arik and the same person travelling with Galadriel to Numenor, with Arik actually being Sauron. I know this is starting to sound quite immense, but hold on, don't worry. To continue, maybe Arik, who is actually this hooded robed figure who orchestrated the attacks, who is then in fact Sauron, wants to get to Numenor and then have them send an army to Middle-earth or something like that, whilst Adar, who we do know is the general of the orcs, is in Middle-earth raiding these villages under Arik's secret rules, and then this is why the Numenorians go to Middle-earth. There are problems with this though, the main one being that would Sauron be able to deceive Galadriel to the extent that he manipulates her to allow him passage to Numenor, and the fact that he is deceiving Galadriel is one thing, as during the Forging of the Rings period, despite not knowing Annatar was Sauron, Galadriel alongside Gil-galad and a few others were able to at least recognize that Annatar shouldn't be trusted or isn't truly good, but then having her so easily manipulated is another thing later on, so that would be a shame. Also, if this is the late Second Age, then we know Sauron gets captured and brought to Numenor, but here he gets to Numenor beforehand as the character Arik in Numenor. Unless Sauron wants to go to Numenor in order to convince the Numenorians to bring their armies back over to Middle-earth due to the attacks by Adar, and then he gets captured back in Middle-earth to go back to Numenor, then probably guys, a lot of you are confused, but then that could be the only other possibility. But then the only problem with this, as you can probably tell, is that this is quite confusing and a quite different take on Sauron getting captured by the Numenorians, but it is a take nonetheless. But I would have to say, and would the writers and showrunners want to go to these lengths of maybe confusing the lore, but that's just anyone's guess at the minute. So I have presented a theory and speculation around Arik and maybe a link with Sauron also, but the obvious drawbacks, as you can probably clearly see, is that it is kind of confusing, and I just think it is quite difficult to alter that period that much, that Arik is going to Numenor then to come back to get captured again. But it is actually quite an interesting theory nonetheless, and I think still in the realm of possibility. We will just have to wait and see. Leaks and speculation aside, the character of Sauron itself throughout all 5 seasons will be a major vocal point for the show, and actually quite a dynamic character, as during this period of the late Second Age, the downfall and last alliance represents a major period of evolution for the character, as maybe in season 1 we are currently seeing him as a robed and hooded figure at a village, seemingly orchestrating things from behind, with Adar being the main villain. Then canonically throughout the show he will be captured, and then we'll see him as a more controlling, dominant figure in Numenor, corrupting Ar-Pharazon to attack the Undying Lands and leading these Melkor and satanic like cults. Then after the downfall we'll probably see a cool decked out Peter Jackson armed Sauron, kitted in black with a massive mace in Barad-dûr, and eventually dramatically putting his ring finger hand out to be conveniently sliced off by Isildur. Of course, sarcasm. But all jokes aside, I think Sauron develops tremendously throughout this period, and I hope one thing that Amazon does not take advantage of by being able to characterize Sauron more and being able to see more of his story is that incorporating the recent villain trend of, oh actually let's feel sorry or sympathetic for the villain. Sauron is evil, end of story. We shouldn't be sympathetic towards him, mainly because that was never Tolkien's intention. Of course you can't really say what Tolkien's intentions truly were, etc, etc. But with evil and villains in his legendarium, which extends to Morgoth, the Witch King, Ungoliant, etc, that it is actually just inherited evil that these characters have, and there's a whole argument around subcreation and the Catholic elements of innate evil and so on, and I'm sure there are far more in-depth write-ups and explanations around this discussion by people far more qualified than me. But we shouldn't be at the end of season 2 being sorry for Sauron in any way, which is the main thing. What are you guys most excited for in regards to the character of Sauron in this upcoming show? Please let me know in the comments below. Also leave your opinions around the various theories in today's video around mainly Adar and Arik. I will try to respond to them, and remember it is just fun speculation, nothing too concrete, and also this is happening a lot recently. this is not me confirming anything that Eric is now Sauron or Adar is now Sauron. This is just my own speculation. Thank you guys for watching, I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. But until the next video, my friends, goodbye.